Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. It's that time of year again, so let's gather around the campfire and talk about some horror games. Every October for a couple of years now, I make a list talking about 5 horror games released on the original Xbox. We are 4 videos in, and somehow the well has not run dry, and there are still plenty of horror games to talk about. Not all are necessarily scary horror, but they do have some type of horror influence. So let's keep this series going, and I've got 5 for you today. Also, if you want to hear about some horror games on other consoles like the PSP, check out Camp Extras, where I'm doing that and more over there. All footage was captured from an original Xbox, and I want to thank my YouTube channel members for their support. Let's go ahead and hop into this one. First on today's list is Bloodrayne 2. This game was released in 2004 for the Xbox and PS2. It eventually saw a PC release and is also available on modern consoles. This is the follow-up to the story of Bloodrayne. Though not directly a sequel, it takes place later in the 2000s. Not only this, but this game is completely updated. Where the first one is more jagged and unpolished, you can tell the success of that game led them to create something clean and awesome looking. The graphics in this entry are significantly updated. All the classic combat of Rain is back, where you use your blades and kicks to take out waves of enemies. It's gruesome, and you cut off limbs and throw people around like rag dolls. This is easily the most fun you can have with this game, watching people you fight fly all around and hearing the audio from it. The screams and agony are nothing short of horrifying, and it's an excellent experience for the eyes and ears on the Xbox, which this version does feature widescreen support. I personally love the mix of combos you get to have, and mixing between all of them is fluid. Not only that, but I love that you can stop and suck the blood of enemies for a quick bit of health in the middle of fights. The sound is excellent and the voice work is fantastic. Rain is quite a character and fits into her badass role well. Her outfits in the 2000s goth style are fantastic and are a great throwback to the era. It all has a fun story, with a mix of crazy bosses along the way. The cutscenes are rendered extremely well for the time, and it's an awesome looking game in its cutscenes. This entry focuses heavily on building the lore and plot, and it's cheesy, but a blast to run through. With over-the-top lines and villains, there's something that is so much fun about the story here. If you like your horror to be a bit more actiony, then this is a good choice because it hits that sweet spot well. Bloodrayne 2 got mixed reception upon launch, but I enjoyed what I got to play. I didn't play this series when they were new, but going through them now, I understand why they were so popular. It's for the characters and the blood and gore. Not necessarily scary by any means, but it fits into the gothic vampire mood that movies like Underworld or Blade did so well at the time. Bloodrayne 2 is a blast and well worth checking out.
We're playing for keeps here, sport.
Next is a survival horror game called Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, which first came out on the PS2 in 2003, but saw a director's cut release on the Xbox in 2004. It was developed and published by Tecmo. We talked about the first one all the way back in the first episode of the series, so now here's the second one. Just in time too, since this one just got a remake announced as of writing this. In this game, you follow 2 sisters who end up in a spooky village. You encounter the mini-ghosts that haunt this village and discover the dark secrets of its past. You don't directly attack ghosts in this game, but use a camera to snap pictures of them to make them disappear. Fatal Frame 2 is a spooky game with a haunting atmosphere, and that all comes from the fact that you can't fight. You never feel powerful in this game. The way you fight back is by standing still and looking right at your dangerous foe through the lens of a camera. You do more damage the longer you hold on them, and you do an extreme amount of damage if you snap a picture right before they attack. So this game asks you to bask in the terror and wait till it's most dangerous. The gameplay style is one of the most immersive horror gaming experiences because of this, and that's why it sticks out as much as it does in gaming history. The environment of the village is great too, with some awesome scenery and locales. It's a beautiful game to explore with tons of details mixed in. On the Xbox, you can play this game in first person, and it's an awesome addition that adds even more to the horror mood. On top of that, the director's cut version gets a new difficulty ending, and costumes, meaning that if you've only replayed the base PS2 version, you should go out and try this one for a fresh perspective on a great game. Throw in some awesome music, and you have a horror game on the Xbox with an incredible atmosphere. It's scary, moody, and the camera system is so much fun. I have no problems with this game whatsoever. In the lineup of horror titles for the console, I feel like this one is one of my favorites, up there with Silent Hill 2, both of which build up a mood unlike any other game on the Xbox. I think the biggest barrier is the price of the Xbox version, which is getting insane these days. Maybe with the new one, the prices might get a bit better, but we will just have to wait and see. Next up is Van Helsing from 2004. This one made it onto the PS2 and Xbox and saw a version for the GBA as well. It was developed by Sapphire and published by Vivendi Universal, based on the movie of the same name starring Hugh Jackman, which is a dumb fun blockbuster. Certainly not amazing, but I remember it being a good time. This game is much like the movie, where it's not necessarily scary horror, but is inspired by it. I mean, it stars Van Helsing and is an homage to those classic Universal monster movies of the past, combining action with horror tropes, which is exactly what this game does. Well, it also combines a bit of Devil May Cry as well. This game is heavily inspired by that franchise and plays and looks like it. So if you need your DMC fix but only have an Xbox, this one can fill the void, but it's not nearly as good, despite it being quite fun. In this game, you play as the titular character and you fight a whole mix of different monsters. You mix a bunch of guns and your melee weapons, mixing and matching both to pull off combos. The better you do, the more experience you earn and the more moves you can purchase. It's a constant gauntlet of a game, and it has fun controls that are never tiring. The look isn't amazing, but for a movie game, you could do a lot worse, and the gothic design is neat. Looking back at the mid-2000s, this is the way so many Hollywood blockbusters looked. That gothic feeling is nostalgic, and I love how it's crafted here. The journey of Van Helsing going across Transylvania, capturing and killing monsters, is fun, and it's great to see some variety packed in there. What's fun too is that the Xbox version features online leaderboards, and the Xbox Live replacement service Insignia offers them back again if you want to go for leaderboards with this game again. On top of all this, the voice work and music are all handled well. It's nice to see Hugh Jackman coming in and doing the voice of the lead here as well, adding to that cinematic touch. I will say some of the camera positioning is a bit sloppy, and the combat has some drawbacks, making it far from perfect, but it is a better than expected movie-based game on the Xbox. It's fast and fluid, and a good time. And if you need a game to turn off your brain for a bit and just smash some combos, you get that here. Now let's talk about Darkwatch. This came out in 2005 for both the PS2 and Xbox. It was published by Capcom and developed by High Moon Studios. This is another genre pairing mixing elements of westerns and horror, two genres I love deeply, as I've done a video dedicated entirely just to western games, and unlike something like Van Helsing, which is more action than horror, this one wears its horror influences proudly. In this game, you play as a vampire named Jericho Cross, and you must fight against supernatural forces. It's a fun plot overall with some solid voice acting. Yet the best element of it all is its setting. Not only mixing western and horror, it has a bit of steampunk influence too. It takes all of this and creates an interesting mechanical world. It takes on this weird steampunk look for all of the weapons, and it has this great gothic atmosphere. If there's anything I can learn from this episode, was that goth design was in the mid-2000s. It's a great looking Xbox game overall, and with its release so late in the Xbox's lifespan, I could have seen this getting pushed over to the 360 and it would have looked great over there. This is a first-person shooter and the controls feel awesome. This was a genre that was a bit oversaturated on the Xbox, but here they do try to shake things up by mixing it with Jericho's vampire powers, all of which are unlocked based upon your moral choices, which already bakes in a good amount of replay value into the game. Here you can do things like fear away enemies, do crazy double jumps, get shields, and thermal vision. There's a whole mix of powers to get into, and mixing that with your combat is what makes this game work so well. I'm sad that I never had heard of this game when it was new, because I would have loved this one back in the day. On top of all this is an online multiplayer mode for Xbox Live, which is featured on Insignia. I've not had the chance to play this one online yet, but I've heard rave things about it. It's not only just a shooter, you get to use your vampire powers online as well. I really do need to get an Insignia session up for this one soon, because I think it would be great to play one night. Overall, Darkwatch is a gem of a time, a fun genre mashup that adds some nice spice to the first-person shooter genre. It's a game that I think more people need to check out. Next up is Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick. This one released in 2003 for the PS2 and Xbox. It was developed by Viz and published by THQ. I love the Evil Dead franchise, and I remember getting gifted this back in the day, and it was actually my introduction to the series. The movies are awesome, mixing comedy and horror in a great way, and the charisma of Bruce Campbell as the star helps sell the series and keeps it living on from generation to generation. Though I do love the franchise overall, if you saw my review of this specific game that I did a few years ago, I don't really like this game. I find it to be mediocre, but I know there's people out there who love this one, so it just depends on you. Fistful of Boomstick takes place many years after Army of Darkness and sees you playing Ash from a third-person perspective. You travel around the town of Dearborn, which has been taken over by Deadites from all time periods. You hop from the 1800s to the 1600s and modern day. If there's one thing this game gets right, it's hitting the Evil Dead feeling, especially with the voice work. This game has a really strong and notable voice cast, and Bruce Campbell kills it, though his character model looks awful and nothing like him. What kills me the most about this game is the repetitive gameplay loop. The game has you on endless fetch quests, running around the town over and over again. What starts as simple fun becomes monotonous at best, and it drags down the entire experience. Not only that, but the enemies of the game infinitely respawn, meaning not only are you retreading the entire time, you're also fighting enemies literally with every step you take. I find it to be brutally boring, and going back to this one, it's a game that I don't find that fun. Throw in that the game itself does not look great on the Xbox, but I will give it a pass there because it was a budget release. But overall, it's a game that I don't love. Though in the comments of that video, I know there's plenty of you out there who love this game and find it fun. So if any of this looks good to you, or if you're a fan of the series, definitely try it out for yourself. Though this game did get a sequel, which we will save for the next entry in this list, and I'm really interested in seeing if it does improve the formula a bit.
Bye-bye, Mr. Nasty.
Be sure to let me know in the comments what I should talk about next. Check out the other videos in the series if you've missed them. Also, leave a like as it really helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with more retro Xbox content, and check out my second channel, Camp Extras, for more gaming content. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support. You really help out the channel, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.